Mikko Rantanen cannot be stopped, and the Dallas Stars dominate the third period over Winnipeg to take Game 3 by a final score of 5-2, and more importantly, a 2-1 series advantage.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. How about that third period from the Dallas Stars? Absolutely lights out from the Stars to close this one in Game 3 to take a 5-2 victory over the Jets. Just completely suffocated the Jets, gave them a taste of their own medicine to take a 2-1 series advantage, and that was a very, very good game from the Dallas Stars. We'll break it all down on today's episode of Locked On Stars. We have to talk about Bichsel and Petrovic. My goodness, they are playing some incredible, incredible hockey right now against one of the league's best. And this is a better formula for the Dallas Stars moving forward to win hockey games against a very, very good Jets team. But what a Game 3 on Sunday afternoon at the American Airlines Center. We'll jump into it in just a bit. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL and monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. We're going to begin with Mikko Rantanen, the gift that just keeps on giving. Another 3-point night for him. Of course, he was stifled in Game 2, and he took over once again. And Mikael Granlund also was spectacular for the Stars. When Granlund and Hintz are playing to their capabilities, it just gives so much more time and space for Mikko Rantanen to do what he does best, and that's playmaking and that's scoring daggers. And he did it in the third period tonight. He sets up the Petrovic goal, who got the fortuitous bounce off his skate blade. My goodness, why did they need to review that goal for as long as they did? That lasted almost 10 minutes, it felt like. At first, my initial reaction was, this is going to come off the board. And then 5 minutes later, I'm thinking, they're taking so long to look at this, it has to count. And it could not have happened to a better person in Alex Petrovic, who deserved it maybe more than anybody else on this Dallas Stars team. But Rantanen picked up an assist on that. And then what was it? 40 seconds later, even less than that, Rantanen just goes cookie jar on Hellebuck. What a shot. As soon as they came across the line, I was saying goal. He gets it. So much time and space again, created by Hintz and Granlund going to the net. Rantanen just delays, and then throws it where mama hides the cookies. I thought it was just such a phenomenal third period after what we saw at the end of the regular season, where Dallas just got roasted in almost every third period over the last month or so. This was certainly a nice change of pace going into a frame where they didn't play all that great in the second period. There was a big lull. They started well, they finished well, but there was that big lull, which allowed Winnipeg to tie the game. But they carried some of those shifts that they had late in the second into the third period and just took it to Winnipeg. And that was a great, great sign, especially on home ice. Like, go get it. Don't just lay back. Don't lay back and let it come to you. Force the issue, dictate the play. And their forecheck was much better. In that second period, there just was no energy, really, for a large chunk of that frame. They brought it in the third. And it was led by some of their big boys, of course, in Rantanen and Hintz. And Jamie Benn started to play better as well in the second half of this hockey game. I've been harping on him. He was awful the first half. He took another just inexcusable penalty, putting his team down a man. He's fortunate. The Stars' penalty kill has just been lights out. 4 for 4 tonight. I'm so glad they didn't give up a goal late when it was a 6-on-4 as well, because it would have put a bit of a stain on their overall numbers and just their overall PK with Sam Steele. And Colin Blackwell, by the way, who was awesome tonight. He has to stay in the lineup. Just a spark. Provides a spark and energy, the Energizer Bunny for Dallas. And you saw it right off the hop. Just him moving his legs. Wyatt Johnston. I was nice to see him get on the board as well late, because at one point he was the best player in the hockey game that didn't have a point. He saved a goal in the first period with his PK work by lifting the stick of Morrissey or at least foul him up just enough to force the shot wide. The amount of defensive plays Wyatt Johnston made that were just high level, incredible, just nifty plays that don't really pop out to you a ton. He made every single one of them tonight. His 200-foot game was on display for the world to see. Incredible stuff from him. It was nice to see him get a bit of an empty netter late. I thought the Stars almost screwed that up as Ben had the initial chance, and Johnston was there to bury it for him. But I thought this was probably the best game or best period of the postseason for Dallas. This third period in particular. I thought game one was probably their best overall game. Game three tonight, that third period was their best period of the postseason. I don't know if it's that close either. And it's not like the numbers are completely lopsided in Dallas's favor outside of the goals, of course. They scored 3, but the shots on goal were 8 apiece. And some of those come later in the period when it was pretty much out of hand. The possession numbers, Dallas at 48% at 5-on-5, but they obviously kicked it into gear for that little bit. And they just took the will out of Winnipeg. It felt like it was a really quiet period from the Jets. That Winnipeg team was Dallas in game 2 in Manitoba, right? Just no life, really can't create anything at the other end of the rink, and just had no answers. And Dallas did that tonight, and that's a great sign. And it brings me back to sort of my point in game 1 too, where these final 20 minutes, they did it in both of their wins in this series now. Game 1, that third period, spectacular to close it out. They were up 3-2. I did not think the score was going to hold, and they closed it out and won the game at 3-2 and were excellent in the third period. They did that again tonight. And I know I talked about it a bit against Colorado, where I don't believe Dallas can just shut down teams offensively. Maybe some of that is just Colorado has a bit more. They just have a little bit more superstar talent where you have to deal with McKinnon and Makar so much. That Winnipeg doesn't have that. Although, let's be real, Kyle Connor's one of the best goal scorers in the NHL over the last 3 years. I don't want to knock anybody over on that side, but I think it's fair to say the amount of pressure McKinnon and Makar can put on you is a different level than even Kyle Connor and some others on Winnipeg. But they've shown the ability to sort of lock it down in front of Jake Ottinger. And Otter made a couple of great saves today. He was excellent. Didn't like the first goal he gave up. He kind of fell, which was unfortunate. But after that was phenomenal. And he continues to be excellent this entire postseason. And I just thought it was such a lights out third period. Look at this from Rantanen. His game score is 4.65. The expected goals for, or his goals for 2.88 tonight. Look, they have to get him on the ice as much as possible. And I threw this out there about the middle of the game, and Ben started to play better. Why not throw 96 out there with Robo and Johnston a bit every other shift? Is Jamie Benn just not giving you enough? I don't know what it is. He could be hurt, but he's hurting. He's hurting the Stars more than he's helping them. And look, I love Jamie Benn. I usually go to bat for him, but it's a glaring weakness right now for whatever reason. And he played better the second half of the game. And I want to be fair to him because I did like his last few shifts of the second period and his third period for the majority of the final 20. Of course, he created a goal with Johnston. He should have scored an empty net goal too, but it got blocked towards the end. But I just thought there were some phenomenal performances. Petrovic, of course, with a goal. Could not have happened to a better guy. Hintz gets a goal and assist tonight. Harley, I mean, what more to say about him? And Rantanen played 17-27 tonight. Hintz played 19-07. Lindell played 25-43. So these are good signs for Dallas. And the scoring chances in favor of Dallas tonight, 33-18 at 5-on-5. Just a complete switcheroo from what we saw in game 2. High danger chances, 18-10. Look at this, though, in the third period. I think this just kind of hammers home the point, and we'll end with this. 6 high danger chances for Dallas in the third period, 0 for Winnipeg. A big fat 0. That's how you close out a hockey game. And that's how you go win a hockey game. They didn't really close it down. They were tied after 40 minutes today. That's how you go and absolutely take it. And I love to see that out of Dallas. And this was a characteristic. We saw a lot out of the Stars in future years or in previous years. And it's still in there. And some of us drank the Kool-Aid a bit, I think, late in the regular season, including myself. Look, don't get me wrong. I thought this team was toast. They have completely flipped the script, and they're starting to revert back to some of those tendencies, those characteristics of a team that can be really lights out in front of their netminder. And they can score because they have the depth to do it. And they score 5 tonight. Hintz gets on the board. Harley, Petrovic, Rantanen, and Johnston. 5 different goal scorers tonight. Of course, Rantanen's gonna get a lot of headlines, and he should. What was the statistic they brought up? Maybe I can find it while I scroll the X. The first player in NHL history with what was it? 3+ point games and 10 postseason games. I think it was something along those lines. Great. And here's another stat. Actually, we'll leave this for the next segment because it kind of plays into that. So we're going to have to touch on Bichsel and what he did tonight. But okay, here's an explanation from the NHL Situation Room on the Petrovic goal. So this will give us a great insight to what they were looking at, because I was curious. So NHL Situation Room on Petrovic goal. Here's the quote. After looking at all available replays, video reviews supported the referee's call on the ice that Connor Hellebuyck propelled the puck into his own net, which I think many of us thought that. Why it had to take that long, I don't know, but they got the call right. So I'm not going to be too worked up about it, but I thought that was pretty obvious from the start that Hellebuyck knocked it into his own net, but they did their due diligence, and for my money, they got the call correct. And Dallas, of course, went on to just take advantage of it. Not that it really had to take advantage of it, but Rantanen, I think, really delivered the dagger with the 4th Stars goal of the night. But let's talk about Bichsel and Petrovic, because it's not just big guys throwing their weight around. They're much more than that. And I don't want to provide a caveat anymore when talking about them like I have here over the first couple of weeks of the postseason. I'll tell you what that means in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Monarch Money. You've heard me talk about our good friends at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and you wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, that's where it went. It's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending in one place. So you just stop managing your money. You start building wealth. You realize how much you can spend on even food deliveries or going out all the time. You have to budget smarter and save more. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's that all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, or even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for 50% off your first year. So the caveat I was speaking to just a moment ago about Lian Bichsel and Alex Petrovic, because I've touched on him here and there throughout the postseason about how they're just playing above their level, so to speak, and how Petrovic has played most of his time in the AHL the last few years, and Bichel's just his rookie. Enough of that. This is just a really solid third pairing for Dallas. This is a very, very capable 5 and 6 defensemen in the NHL. There's no more caveat. They're damn good at what they do. And Bichsel tonight, this is really interesting. It comes from Michael Dixon. Per the Stars media guide, this ties a franchise record. Lian Bichsel finished the game with a game-high 13 hits. The last 13 hit game was Brendan Morrow against Anaheim in 06. So 13 hits from Lian Bichsel, and that is a part of his game. And we saw it tonight. He cleans up. He cleans up the opposition on the walls. He just tosses bodies around. And it's not just that. It's his board play, which is really fantastic. He makes extremely smart plays in pressured situations when he's got forechecking and pressure on his back. And he just makes really smart tape-to-tape passes. Petrovic does the same. Their awareness is really strong. They know where one another's going to be. They play the angles well, and they clean up and they close plays before it gets chaotic. They close down plays quickly, even off the rush, and they're not overwhelmed by any speed that is thrown at them. I just have loved their game. And that's why I thought it was so awesome Petrovic scored. He deserved it. And that's a kudos to him for jumping up in the rush. He became another option for Dallas. He becomes an option, does a little give and go with Rantanen, and then he tries to get it to the net, and he does with a little motion kicking, whatever you want to call it, redirection, who cares? And it goes off a whole buck because he goes to the net, and he gets into those positions. Steele deserves a lot of credit for that goal too. That was similar to the Game 7 goal Mikko scored, where Steele just drives center of ice. He takes a defender with him, and it opens up all that space. But no more caveat when I'm talking about these two. They're just a really, really solid pairing for Dallas. And frankly, they've been the best pairing for Dallas in the playoffs. If you look at their expected goal share, it's not just shutting down opponents offensively. Like, they have had a hand in Dallas's offense, and I can bring up some numbers via Money Puck for you because it's actually incredible stuff. If you look at Bichsel and Petrovic, 62.5 expected goals per percentage. It's the best. That's the best among pairings on Dallas. Their expected goals for 4.5. That's second. Only to Harley and Lyubushkin, which is not a surprise since Harley scored 3 goals, and we know what he brings to the table. But I just thought it was a lovely game from those two, and for that fact, I should shout out. I mean, CC and Lindell were phenomenal tonight too. Let's not forget about that. Lyubushkin too. I thought Dallas played a nice physical, hard-nosed hockey game tonight. And you can even look at the hits if you're into that sort of thing as an indicator. I don't touch on this a lot, but 42 hits to 41 in favor of Dallas. That's good. That's good stuff. And they're matching Winnipeg's physicality because they didn't do it in Game 2, and we saw how that went, and Dallas responded. It's a series of responses so far. Game 4 will be rather intriguing in Dallas, but the Stars take Game 3 tonight. They take a 2-1 series advantage and a much, much better game. And I know some were a bit weary after Game 2. I tried to throw the caution flags out there. It'll be all right. Dallas is going to play much better in Game 3, and they did that here this afternoon. Also, it was nice to have a game over by 6 o'clock at night and not having to stay up past midnight. every game. So that was also a big winner for me today. Plus, the Stars got their first win on TNT. They were 0-4 previously. So boom, they knocked that off. They checked that box as well here tonight. But a much better formula for Dallas to carry over into Game 4, and I want to talk about that here as well to close out today's episode, and we'll do that in just a moment. Well, tonight I think is a really good example of what this Stars team is in a lot of ways. And I know we got to a point where it's like Rantanen is scoring so much, nobody else is, and they need some other guys to chip in. And there was certainly some of that tonight, but also Rantanen had 3 points and had a hand on a lot of the goals tonight. But look, he's an elite player. He's going to do that. That's why when Dallas does get some help from others, they're going to dominate some teams offensively just because they have so many weapons. And part of that was they did flip the trios back a little bit. We talked about this after Game 2. I like that they put Duchesne with Seguin and Marchment tonight. I thought that line was spectacular. They ended up with 12 scoring chances tonight. That line. It stinks that they didn't really cash in any points. I don't think, Seguin, Marchment or Duchesne did not pick up a point in the game, but I thought they were excellent. And that was good to see because when Seguin came back, obviously they scored 5 seconds into the regular season finale or whatever it was, but in the Colorado series, not a whole lot from Duchesne. There was a lot better signs from Dutchy tonight. They still need him to produce, but there was good signs from that line. 12 scoring chances and 5 against. Like you're going to take that. I thought Robo was pretty quiet tonight. Wasn't his best game. He was much better actually in Game 2. Weirdly enough, I thought, but he did create that chance late in regulation. Game was out of hand already, but I just think you got to get Mikko on the ice as much as possible. Throw him out there with Robo and Johnston a bit. Maybe that can unlock something. And Ben's line was better late just because he was playing better, but we're not getting that enough consistently. Of course, the top line, 7 scoring chances. That was second most. Johnston, Ben, Dodonov, weirdly enough, had 8 scoring chances at 5-on-5 in 4 minutes of play. So that was actually second most, pardon me. So like that line showed something, which was good. And they were just kind of throwing some different pieces together tonight. The fourth line I thought was really excellent. They had a few shifts early in the game where they were able to just hem in the Jets. And look, that's all you asked for out of that line. And Sam Steele's just been phenomenal all postseason long. Like there was a couple of unsung heroes tonight. I thought Johnston was in there. Sam Steele, of course. Dodonov had a decent game too. But they went back to some different lines. They went back to some normal trios, of course. And I thought it paid off tonight. But it's a thought. Have Mikko play with Johnston and Robo a bit. I think you could also have Hintz double shift every other shift. Have him play with Johnston and Robo. Like why not? I know DeBoer wants to roll 4 lines and use all of his depth, and they need to do that at points. But I just think this team is almost unstoppable offensively when they're going like they are. You just get the feeling that they're going to make a difference if they're out there on the sheet. And when you get that, Stars are in good hands. And when they're playing defensively like they did in the third period, and Otter's just going to be Otter, the Stars team has a very solid formula to win. And I haven't even mentioned special teams yet. which they won tonight. They go 1 for 2 on the power play. They go 4 for 4 on the PK, and I didn't love a lot of the calls. I get that, but some Stars players are not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Even Jamie Benn, I didn't love that, the call that much, but he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt right now because he's not playing hard enough, or he's not going to earn some of those non-calls. And there was probably a few calls Dallas should have got in that second period too. But look, you're not always going to get the whistle. Okay. You just got to play through it. And if Dallas continues to work hard and move their feet, they're going to earn some of those calls. Like they're going to earn them. And if they continue to do that, they're going to be in good hands. But with a PK's lights out as it's been, and they get the power play goal, it's going to be tough team to beat. But Winnipeg didn't play that great tonight. I think we can all agree on that to some degree. I don't think we saw the best out of Winnipeg, and I'm sure we're going to get it in game 4, and it will be another really solid test. But I love what Dallas has done in their 2 wins in this series, holding on and just closing out a 3-2 win in game 1 on the road, and then back home going into a third period tied. Like they went and took it. They just went and took it. And that's what I loved about it. They didn't just sit around and try to wait for stuff to happen. That sort of was a trap I think they got stuck in that second period. It was just that big lull where they were on their heels and they just weren't forcing the issue. And on home ice, they went and buried a really, really good team in a third period. And the AAC continues to buzz and rock. And just a phenomenal win tonight. Like, well done. I think as simple as that. So they take a 2-1 series advantage. The beat goes on for Mikko Rantanen. It's special stuff. And Dallas gets a bit of everything from everybody. I mean, you can go to the hockey stat cards and look at it. I mean, boom. I think that really tells the whole story. And Rantanen, he's special players, ladies and gentlemen. And I feel bad that we almost come on here and we talk about him so much, but it's hard not to with the performances he's putting up. And I try to spread the love around. I really do. And I'm wearing a t-shirt of someone that should have never gotten traded, just like Mikko Rantanen. So I think that is a perfect way to wrap up today's episode. It's a Luka Doncic Mavericks shirt, by the way, for those of you that are on audio only. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Stars. We're done by 7 o'clock tonight recording. That's awesome. And the Stars won tonight, 5-2, taking down the Jets, dominating third period. Special teams came to play. A lot of really solid defensive stuff from Johnston, Steele, Blackwell on the PK. They deserve all the love. Petrovic gets on the board. I mean, it's all smiles tonight in game 3. They got a 2-1 series advantage, more importantly, and we'll be moving on to game 4 in a couple days. So have a great rest of your weekend that you do have here, Stars fans, and we'll be back for game 4, and we'll see you on the next episode of Locked On Stars. So long.